All right, we are live, guys. So I'm so excited to have you here, guys. Let me introduce you for everyone who is watching, for everyone who is joining slowly. Let me introduce you guys from Encharge.io. The guy on the left is Kalo, and the guy on the right, is Slav, and they're both founders of Encharge.io. Which is a platform for software as a service automation, which is pretty amazing stuff. It will basically bring all your marketing data together, so they will know each other, and you know what exactly you are doing in your marketing efforts. So why don't you guys start and introduce yourself a little? How did you come across the idea of starting Encharge.io? And yeah, just tell me a little bit more about your background and where you come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be with PitchGround and with all the nice people here. So my name, I'm the marketing co-founder of Encharge. And just to give you an idea of first what Encharge is and how we came with the idea, and then I can introduce more about myself and my background. So Encharge is a marketing automation software for SaaS companies, and what we do basically is help marketers connect their marketing apps and make their whole marketing app stack work together. So as a SaaS, you can easily, convert customers, retain them, and nurture them through the whole lifecycle journey. And in a nutshell, it's a visual workflow builder that you use to drag and drop different steps and connect and make your whole lifecycle marketing work together. And the idea for Encharge came about half a year ago, and since Slav is a previous co-founder of Post Planner, which is quite successful social media scheduling app, and I have another exit with the SaaS company. And one of the recurring problems we had, especially me as a marketer, was that it was the overhead of connecting your marketing stack and making your every app work seamlessly together was very big. It was very difficult to make your email marketing automation, then your Facebook ads, and then your different tools that you use to send push notifications and whatnot on different channels. It was very, very tedious to make this whole thing work together. So you get like the complete picture of your life cycle journey. And then we spoke to quite a lot of SaaS founders, and we found that that's a recurring problem. It usually just takes a lot of time, and you gotta have a developer to work with to help you connect different APIs and whatnot. And we decided to solve this problem by creating that easy to use marketing automation tool that integrates natively different apps.
All right.
And that's pretty much how we came with Encharge.
Mm-hmm. And before you came with Encharge, and thanks for a thorough introduction. How did you guys actually meet? How did you guys start working together on this awesome product?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. So I think we met first time 2015, like 3 years ago. I was running a Facebook group in the local city where we live. We're from Sofia, Bulgaria. Mm-hmm. That was a Facebook group for lean startups. It was a community for entrepreneurs, startup people, especially on fans of the whole agile lean startup thing.
Yeah.
And the group was growing quite fast, and I was looking for to invite to the group, to get them to participate, especially people with experience in startups. And I saw an interview on, I'm not sure if you've heard of Andrew Warner, but his co-founder, Slav's co-founder at the time of Post Planner, was talking about Post Planner and mentioned that guy who's a CTO and Bulgarian CTO of Post Planner. I was like, okay, I should find this person because Post Planner is a successful startup. And this guy is a Bulgarian, so I must find him and invite him to the group and get him to, participate in the community. And I found him. I found Slav on Facebook. Ask him to join the Lean Startup group that I created and to get involved there. And that's pretty much it. Snowballed from there. We started talking about startups, what he's working on and stuff like that. And, a few years later, we now work on Encharge together.
All right.
And there's a good thing because he's a technical co-founder. I'm a marketer, and it was pretty good.
That's a really good combination, because I see in the startup scene that there are multiple technical founders and no marketing founder, or the opposite way, only marketing and business guys and no technical founder, which makes it quite difficult. But Kalo, I see that you're apparently the one who do all the talkings. Let your partner say something about Encharge as well.
It's not real. Slav is quite extroverted for a developer, but
So first of all, hi to the
hello. After 10 minutes, hello, Slav.
So as was clarified, I'm the technical founder of Encharge. You can go by that. So Kalo did a lot of introducing for me, and a little bit of the story of how we met. I was previously a co-founder of a startup called Post Planner. We did a tool for maximizing your social media efforts, and one day, out of the blue, a guy emails me and tells me, we have to meet. You're from Bulgaria, and I'm from Bulgaria too. So this was the guy. And we went for a coffee and then didn't speak for about a year or so. And eventually I left Post Planner, and with Kalo, we kind of talked about what we were doing at the time. And decided to give it a try to another project. That was the project that didn't go anywhere, actually, a couple of projects ago.
It was actually we went through a few iterations before started working on Encharge, and I guess it's always like that. You have an idea. We were working on multiple different ideas. I don't even. No, I'm sure if you remember all of them, but one of them was AI for retention. So helping SaaS companies retain customers through an AI algorithm. Quite fancy, sophisticated type of startup. It didn't go anywhere, for a number of reasons. Then there were a couple of different startups. One in customer ideas for startups, should I say? One in the customer success field. What else we did?
Well, the one before Encharge, which actually Encharge, the current Encharge is Encharge version 2, I guess, and the one before that was called the same thing, but it wasn't an idea more than actually we did work on it, and we worked on it for maybe 6 months, 6 months or so.
Okay.
And the previous version of Encharge was a integrations platform, kind of like Zapier, but for the backend. So our customer, in the case, I presume you're familiar with Zapier, where it brings a lot of SaaS tools together. And so what Zapier does is it charges the end user who connects the tools together. And our idea, in a way, was that we would provide a backend, Zapier, where we would charge the businesses and we would provide them with easy integrations to other tools.
Okay, I understand. All right. Before we move any forward, let me just for the people who are joining a little bit later, introduce you again. So we are here with Kalo and Slav, who are both founders of Encharge.io, which is a tool that brings all of your marketing data together. So you know exactly what are your tools doing, and you know all the stats along your customer lifetime journey, which is pretty interesting thing. And right now, they basically introduce how they came up to the idea of Encharge. And I'd like to ask them now, like, what was the first step? Because you actually said that you went through a lot of ideas, a lot of different ideas. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't. So how did you manage to figure out that, all right, Encharge is the one idea we will pursue? And you just decided that, okay, let's work on it and let's go all in. So what was the first step?
Yeah, so first of all, we started with a criteria that could satisfy both of us for the idea for the startup. And that criteria was that it needs to be a product in a very, very fast, very big market rather than something extremely. It has to be something that, we enjoy both working on. So I'm a marketer, so building something in the marketing field was natural, to me, and it was just good to me to work with. What else? Also, we didn't want to do something like very exotic, something that we weren't sure that's going to sell. We wanted to be to go into, if you will, in a saturated market, because we already knew that there is a demand for that specific problem and for a solution. So first was that criteria, and we decided that we're going to build something in the marketing automation space. And from there, our approach was to validate first of all, we did a few interviews. We talked to a number of SaaS founders and asked them about what email marketing software use, what marketing automation tools they use, do they have any problems, what are their pain points that they experience. And the recurring issue that we found is that marketers in SaaS and CMOs, they find it very hard to connect their marketing apps to build a complete lifecycle journey marketing. They always complain that it takes a lot of time, it costs a lot because they have to involve the developers, and developers are always busy. They're building the actual product, so they don't have time to spend on connecting marketing APIs so you can work better as a marketer. It's not their priority. And that was a recurring problem. And from there, we kind of started. We started with the landing page. Encharge.io is still live, okay. And we started building an email list through content marketing. So I started writing about my experience as a marketer, as a SaaS founder, sharing my journey with my previous startup, and building an email list, growing leads, people that could be someone that could be interested in a marketing automation software. So that were like SaaS founders, other entrepreneurs, marketers. And then we launched a pre-launch landing page with an offer to pre-order the software that we are currently building. That included a brief sales video letter, a number of features that we plan to build, and our whole vision is what we are trying to solve, and the way we are approaching this in our solution. So people can actually see that landing page is still live at Encharge.io, and they can see the whole message and everything. And we sent one email blast to that email list. At the time, it was about 600 subscribers, I think. And we offered like a lifetime deal to pre-order the tool long before it's live. Okay. Just to make sure that we call it a pocket test. People would get some, will pay us.
That's interesting approach. So basically, your first step was that you validated the idea by reaching out to different founders and asking if they have the problem you are trying to solve, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you mentioned all these things on the landing page. Then you saw that there's actually demand for these services. And you went actually one step ahead, because a lot of people think that, actually I did this mistake as well, that if you have a subscribers, or if people are saying that they like the idea and they will be using it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be using it. And that's the reason why you charge them, right? It's interesting. All right, so right now you're in a like you're still not live, right?
Exactly. We're still building the product. We're still pre-launch.
And when are you planning to launch?
We don't have an exact ETA, and the reason for that is that we don't want to give like an exact.
Yeah. I know it's difficult.
But it's planned to be in the coming months. It's not like that far away, but yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to go back a little, and if you could share with us, how exactly did you validate the idea? Because in our group here are members who have a lot of ideas, and maybe they just don't know how to validate the idea in the first place. So what exactly you did to validate your idea and to find out that this is something you want to pursue? How did you ask these founders?
Yeah,
share something.
Sure. I think when, as Kalo said, we wanted to be in a saturated market, because previously we tried maybe 3 other projects, and they were very niche projects that didn't quite have a proven market in there, and they were unique as ideas. And that kind of was in our disadvantage, and we eventually couldn't make these ideas, these approaches to building a company work. And because we started in a saturated market, we knew that there was a need in there. Every business that does online marketing has to get leads, and then has to nurture these leads, has to convert them and retain them, if we're talking about SaaS business. So there was this clear need, and we didn't have to validate that need, but we validated our approach on the market. So basically, how our vision, how we want to make this process easier, especially for SaaS companies. We did a number of interviews with. We didn't actually interview only SaaS people, but we found this problem that Kalo described. Mostly in people who are doing SaaS, and eventually that's as he said, that's one of the reasons that we choose this part of the market, is because we're SaaS entrepreneurs ourselves, and that's something that we're very passionate about. We didn't, of course, this product can be used for e-commerce and for info products marketing, but we want to make it as useful as it can be for SaaS people, and only after it's useful for them to expand into other areas.
All right. So when you were starting your prior businesses, these 2 that didn't go well, you did a mistake that you were choosing the products where was no actually demand, that there was no market for them. So no product market fit. Is it correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a business can fail in many different ways, but we did fail in a way that there was a clear need. For example, we did churn prevention using AI, and of course, most businesses don't want to lose people to churn, but eventually the effort of integrating our solution and of actually using it turned out to be much higher than people would actually. So we sold that to a number of companies for for a few months, and eventually only managed to bring a single company on board, and it wasn't just worth it to with that.
So it was a valuable experience, but you decided to move
Yeah,
on.
it's always like that.
Yeah. All right. You guys are two founders. Are there any other people involved in the development of your product?
No, so for now it's just me and Slav. Slav is taking the whole development process. By the way, he's a very senior developer. He can say more, but I think his first program was like a game on DOS or something like that.
Yeah,
it was like ages ago.
Yeah, when we didn't, I know it sounds ancient, but when we didn't have personal computers and we had to program at school where they had like a couple of computers there.
So you are really senior programmer that you were.
I'm senior in that way, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So now this question is maybe more from Kalo. Because I'm a marketing guy as well, what are your plans to get customers on board? Like from my last interview, when I was interview founder of Poptin, he said that a lot of founders, when it comes to lead generation, they do the mistake that they rely only on paid advertising. What is your approach to this? Do you have some organic ways, or do you want to risk it and do only paid way?
Yeah. So at the moment, because we are pre-launch, pre-revenue, 100% of the marketing we do is organic. We haven't spent any money on ads. It's something I'm willing to experiment with, but I mean, it's still, because we're not making any money right now, it just doesn't make sense to invest money unless we are very sure that we are going to get a return on investment in the future, which is very difficult to predict right now. And also because I'm very good with content marketing and just organic traffic. That's the way I approach things. There are a couple of goals that are really important to us. One is to grow our email list. And this is to build that audience, pre-launch audience, so we can later launch to. And the other one is to grow organic traffic from Google. Okay. And I'm doing that by writing content and link building. So these are like the evergreen goals for us, rather than just focusing on short-term marketing tactics that may bring us some traffic in the in the short term, but then there's nothing we can do with that in the long term. So with email marketing, with growing our email list, when I do content promotion, my priority is to convert as many users, as many visitors to email subscribers. And I do a lot of content upgrades. So I have lead magnets for each article. There's also side projects I do that also include lead magnets. And I'm really striving to get at least like 10% visitor to email subscriber conversion on my content. That way I can preserve that audience and later nurture through email marketing.
That's really smart that you're not spending money before you're making money. And my next question is actually in this similar area. What are your thoughts on inviting an investor on board? If so, when?
Right. So I think that's my opinion, but also Slav's opinion is we want to delay that as much as possible. We're not like strict, like we are bootstrapping for now to investment maybe in the future, but at the moment we're really focused on understanding the customers, doing customer development, building the first version of the product, getting people on board to use it, and at later stage maybe we can get some money, so we know that when we invest an X amount of money, we will going to get X amount of Y amount of money out. That investment. And so we can use it more for the scale stage, or at least at the later stage, rather than just product building and onboarding the first customers.
Okay. And what about incubators? Because there are a lot of incubators, especially for like young companies as you are. Have you thought about like attending one of these programs?
Yeah, well, in Bulgaria, where we're from, at the moment, I don't think there are any incubators. So there were a few of them, and they changed their model. They transitioned more towards later stage investments, so like seed to A round.
Okay.
So there aren't any local incubators. Which basically means that if we decide to go with an incubator, that would mean that we have to, relocate, and it's just the overhead of going to another country just for an incubator is too much for us to deal with. And also when you consider the time it takes to get even the smallest amount of incubation round, it's between, I don't know, a few months up to 6 months, something like that. It's just time that we could spend better on our customers and on building the product. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So like at this point, you said that the product is not like generating revenue. Of course, it's still in pre-launch. If I may ask, like, how do you sustain a living at this point?
Right. So for me, I still do client work. I work with SaaS companies. So for example, one of the clients I work with now is a website builder called Symvoli. I've worked previously for UpViral, Lemon Stand, Bulgarian company called Metrilo, and a few other companies. So I do marketing for them. I consult. I also execute marketing campaigns, and that's pretty much how I'm earning. At the moment.
The thing is though that the work that Kalo is doing with clients is in the same line of work as the tool that we're building. So basically, these are two things that kind of complement each other instead of getting in the way.
All right, that makes total sense. Anyway, like we had an interesting point in my last interview where Luke said that Luke Howard, the digital acquisition specialist, said that companies from the very start should be built for an exit. That you should know exactly like for what purpose are you building it and what type of exit you want to achieve. Have you been thinking about it like from the very start, or do you like the approach that thinking about exit while starting is more like thinking about breaking up while starting a relationship?
I think it's exactly like this. I think right now we're just focused on building a tool that's for the people that we're building it for SaaS entrepreneurs, and that's our main focus right now. And I think, as Kalo said, raising money or thinking about an exit at this point would be just a distraction. Yes, but we're just focused on getting it out.
Yeah. So you don't really want to make the mistake of like delaying the launch as long as possible and doing all the iterations without actual feedback, because a lot of founders do that because they want to make their product perfect, so they don't launch ever. Right? You actually are aware from your previous ventures that you should actually launch as soon as possible, or do you have any other experience?
Yeah, well, we're people, and we really want to. It's not as easy as just putting crap out there that's half finished and barely working. And so we have the same the same concerns for their product as I imagine any other founder would have. You just need to do a little bit more and a little bit more and then a little bit more to actually launch it. But I think we're trying to push each other to kind of stay in line and be very lean about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. No, I mean that's really interesting because as I mentioned, it's quite difficult to launch on time because we did this mistake and launch without unfinished product. There's a thin line between it. Anyway, my next question is about pricing, and I'm not like necessarily want to ask like how much it will cost and charge, but how do you decide on what is the best pricing strategy for you? If you thought about it, I'm pretty sure that you have. You're smart guys. And what is your approach on pricing?
Right. So it's a tough question because I'm not sure we have still figured it out. Mm-hmm. On one hand, because we are going into a saturated market, there's also like a standard already set by companies that have been there for ages. So people expect a freemium model. People expect to be charged on number of subscribers or number of emails sent and things like that. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, it's not a good idea to base your pricing based on competitors, mm-hmm. But rather based on the value that your customer is getting out of it. So that being said, I think we are thinking about pricing our product based on the actual value that our users get. So the more they use the product, the more expensive it will get. The more subscribers they get, the more expensive the product will get for them. But we still haven't pinpointed the exact price ranges and plans. I think we are going to start with a free beta period to get initial traction and from customers. And based on that, we're going to experiment with different pricing models. But based on my previous experience, usually it's good to start with something. I mean, the first pricing is going to be wrong. It's almost 100% like that. Mm-hmm. So just overthinking it, I think it just stifles you, and it's better to just come up with something, maybe even a single plan or the simplest plan possible, and then iterate from there and see what people are willing to pay and what's the actual value that your product provides to them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's quite connected to like what features you should add and how to prioritize them. And I actually believe that you have a list of the features you want to have there. How do you decide on like what feature is the one you should go for?
I think it's fairly easy at this point. We just build what we want to have in the product because we're looking in a way that we're also potential customers of our product. Mm-hmm. So it's easy that way. But of course, we have to figure out what the people that have pre-ordered the product want and what the people that are in our Facebook community are saying, and what is the base level of the market of the other tools on the market. So that's kind of how we prioritize things. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm not sure I explained it very good. Maybe you can. We still have a lot of discussions and about what should be done when.
Yeah, it's very difficult because we are building a very big product. The future scope is quite big, so it's tough to just narrow down. I mean, we are not building like a single feature, one-trick pony product. We are building a marketing automation platform. So one of the USPs is having integrations so people can use. And it's difficult, and I'm sure we're making mistakes, and I think that's normal. But the process, as Slav said, is based on what we use as our own customers, what are our early adopters using and want to have in that product, and then the market and what are the expectations on the market. And a mixture of these three things, and again, also development time and complexity of the feature.
We try to go for things that are easy to do so that we can get a lot of them done instead of something that's that takes longer, and that's common sense. It's not going, if you can do a couple of things in the time that you're going to do one and the value is about the same, it's a no-brainer.
I agree, and I think like one of the most important rules when starting a new company, startups, any ventures is if you have to fail really fast. Don't develop something for 2 years and then find out like that people don't want it. I did this mistake and I will never do it again. Anyway, it's a constant journey. It's a still learning something new. And I want to ask you, like, what has been your biggest challenges along the journey so far?
Yeah, well, I think we have so many challenges.
All right, so name top 3.
It's difficult to. So let me think about. Well, obviously, the first one is finding a problem worth solving. Finding something that we're willing to pay for.
But also that we're passionate about working on.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Something that there's a good match, because I have friends that are having, they have successful products. Have people paying them, but it's not something they're willing to spend the next 5 to 10 years working on. It's like, I just want to get rid of this thing. It's not my passion. It's not my market. So that's a challenge. If we have to give more precise examples, I think we have all kind of technical issues. There was also with the pre-order, funny story. We used Braintree.
Okay.
And as soon as pre-orders started coming in, Braintree blocked us because they don't allow pre-launch products. This is too for them.
Well, we don't know if they don't allow pre-launch products, but they figure out that we're a risk. And basically blocked our pre-order payments.
Oh, it's not a pleasant experience. Because in their eyes, I think in their eyes, you were just selling something that didn't exist, right?
Yes.
And so I think they just wanna protect themselves from all the refunds and everything and so on. So all right, the biggest challenge was this or anything else, finding the problem.
I think we had a lot other challenges.
I'm not saying that you should don't like the challenge. Or what did you say? That you had a lot of challenges?
Yeah, we had challenges on pretty much every step of the way.
Yeah.
Like on marketing, on development, for example, product hunt. We launched a side project with resources for startups about a couple of weeks ago, and I guess it was manually banned from Product Hunt, or at least was hidden deep in there, and that didn't go anywhere, for example, and that was like a lot of effort, especially on Kalo's part. It was his baby in a way.
Your Product Hunt launch was Kalo's baby, right?
So So we do, as I mentioned, we have these like little side projects that we use to generate leads, and one of them was like a directory of free startup entrepreneurs, and we did pretty much with the sole purpose of launching these on Product Hunt. But we launched it and it never got to the homepage. I think they penalized her for some reason, and it's unclear why they did that. I guess they have their own reasons. But that was one of the marketing campaigns that we had some high hopes of and never got anywhere.
So you never know what's going to be a challenge tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. For example, that resource that Kalo was saying, it was a lot, like 500 tools, free tools for startups, and it proved to be an absolute hit in one of the Facebook groups that we frequent. And Kalo got around 1,000 comments on a post.
Went viral.
Yeah. It was viral, and there was demand for that, and we thought that the same would happen on Product Hunt. But as surprised as we were about how much engagement it got on Facebook, we were very surprised that it didn't get any on. It actually got engagement on Product Hunt, but that it was penalized and it didn't become viral and attract people.
That's interesting. I actually haven't heard anyone with a similar story, and it's quite sad that Product Hunt penalizes founders.
It's first for me as well.
So you launched some products before?
Yeah, I have launched 7 products. I've submitted 7 products on Product Hunt. Most of them are my products, and I have a couple of friends' products. And I've also bought a number of other products. So it's definitely a first for me. But it's interesting because you understand all of these things about how the way the algorithm works, Product Hunt, and what are their expectations, and it makes you a bit more prepared for your next launch.
All right. Okay, guys. Before we wrap it up, I have 2 more questions. Right now, it's just 2 of you, 2 founders. What will be the first hire you will make? What skill are you missing right now that that you will need in the future, in the near future, maybe?
Yeah, we haven't talked.
I believe that it's going to be in marketing, and that's because from my experience with development teams and building development teams, the more people you put into development, the slower things get. And with just one person, you have you don't have to communicate with other people, you don't have to transfer knowledge back and forth, and you're moving as fast as possible. And I believe in marketing, you can be moving different projects at the same time, and it kind of gets the ball rolling faster.
Okay.
So we haven't really discussed that, but that's how I believe it would go.
Great. And before we jump into your 90-second pitch, I think this question might be maybe the most interesting for you, or maybe for the people who are watching right now. What is the advice you would give to founders who are just getting started with software as a service company?
Right. Yeah. Well, make some money before you build a product. As in, make money from the idea, from the solution you're selling. Because time is really your most precious resource. As trivial as it sounds, it's the real truth. So try to go fast and make some pre-orders, or sell it as a service, if you will, and then automate that service as a product. But have some money in the bank before building the thing.
It's just that profitability can be a much farther away than one thinks. And if you're just starting out, you don't have the connections, you don't have a way to get venture funding or other money in there. I think that's one of the biggest killers of startup companies, where you just run out of money, and then you have to get a job, and you kind of put your project on the back burner, and eventually, because it doesn't get your energy, your effort, it kind of dies.
All right, that's interesting. No, it's not actually interesting. It's actually really good advice. That get money before you start building the thing. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, just know that profitability can be farther away than expected.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. And right now, the last part of this interview is a 90-second pitch of Encharge to our community. And I'm pretty much ready whenever you are ready. So just tell me.
All right, sure. So,
all right, so start now, 10 seconds.
10 seconds, right. So we're building Encharge. It's still in pre-launch, but you can subscribe for early access at encharge.io. And it's a marketing automation software for SaaS companies. We are helping SaaS marketers connect their marketing stack. So as previous SaaS founders, we experienced that problem. It takes a lot of time and development resources to put all of your marketing apps together and build the whole lifecycle journey that you need to build as a marketer. So what we do is we are a visual workflow builder. We help you connect different apps like Stripe, Facebook ads, your forms, and help you create customer journey workflows to get leads, nurture them, convert them, and retain them. So that's pretty much it.
All right, you did it in 60 seconds. Well done. All right, guys. So thank you very much for showing up. Thank you very much for your pitch and for building this amazing tool. And I'd be more than happy if you would stay active in the community and just comment from just sometimes just shoot a comment to interesting posts you see or network with people here. Because as I said, we have some awesome members here, and I think you'll fall in love with PitchGround.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for having us. It was a great pleasure to do this interview with you.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.